Kalen DeBoer is known as the quarterback whisperer, and it's exciting to see what Jalen Milroe is going to look like, what Ty Simpson's going to look like with Kalen DeBoer leading the way as Alabama's head coach. We're going to talk about that. Also, what happened when Alabama had to switch up the offensive line, rotate running backs. We'll get into that as well right here on Cover Crimson and covercrimson.com. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Let's get this thing started. And again, everybody, thanks for being here, and roll Tide. He's Clint Lamb, and I'm Mick Gillispie. Thank you so much. I'm at the Old River Grill here, part of the Floribama complex. Clint, not to make you jealous, but I had to come and see my friend Steve Powers and Jen Surface and John McInnes, my fraternity brother, and get ready for a show we're going to do here, the Tailgate Show, coming up in a couple weeks.
I'm sure the weather's just awful down there, right?
You know what? It is. To be honest with you, it does feel like it might rain here, but it was a little overcast today. But this is like the sports bar area, which is cool. So don't mind me as I hang out. But before we get into too much, I want to play this clip from Kalen DeBoer, because I felt like this was one of the things, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this as far as like reaction from his press conference. But to me, this is what he's bringing to the table, and we can get into why, because I want to hear your reaction as well. But to me, this is one of the biggest things I like about Kalen DeBoer. And he talks about Jalen Milroe here and just playing football.
From last year's game at this point, yeah. I thought being decisive at the end of the season was something that I was really, wanting to make sure he carried over, just playing ball, finding ways to move the chains. You get so caught up in this play, you're supposed to read it right to left, or you're supposed to read the safety. And there's so many things with checks. And then there's a point where you just got to go play ball. And I think that that's something that he just got more and more accustomed to. And I felt like that was what he did on Saturday. There wasn't a lot of opportunities. He didn't take that many snaps. He threw it less than 10 times. And so not a big sample size there, but when he did have those opportunities, I thought he took off. I love the touchdown pass to K-Law, where he stepped up, was decisive, had his eyes downfield. He can run with the football, but hit the eyes of the defense being on him, flipping it out there and making a really accurate pass. And again, those are things that are undervalued. K-Law being able to attack the ball and hit it on the run, kind of having a feel where the defense was at. There's people at his legs, K-Law's legs. So that's the difference between a 6, 7, 8, 10-yard gain and a touchdown. So just little subtleties like that, I think, were things I was impressed with Jalen. And, couple times here and there. He only had 2 incompletions. And so, you're really getting down to what can we have done on those 2 incompletions. Communication, just always trying to make that better. I thought it was really good, but always trying to make it better. Communication to the line, all the way across the board. Coming on the sideline, I really enjoyed getting with him on the sideline. Thought he was really locked in. The iPads and all of that. I really thought he utilized that to his advantage, along with the rest of our staff, both sides of the ball. Really kind of a game changer when you look at it, and getting that instant feedback and instant information to confirm what you thought happened, and be on the same page and be able to move forward. So,
all right, there it is. And Clint, to me, the thing that stuck out the most, and I love hearing about all the other stuff, is that we just want him to go out there and play ball. Just go play ball. Like, instead of thinking about every move you make, just go play the game. And I've heard the same thing from Jake Coker when he's been on our show, Elephant in the Room. That point of the season where you're not worried about, you get into these plays and sometimes you have to improvise, but it's all about just moving the ball downfield, getting first downs and scoring touchdowns.
It felt like last year that there was too much structure at times. Like they were trying, it was like, hey, we want you to be a point guard. We want you to distribute the football to everybody. We want you to win from within the pocket. The offense wasn't really built around Jalen Milroe or tailor-made for him. And it felt like that as the season went on, they allowed Jalen to be a little bit more Jalen. And it's incredible how much more effective everything got as soon as they allowed him to start doing that. And, we say it every time we talk about Jalen Milroe because it is worth mentioning.
Mhm.
Last year, there were limitations that you had to work around, but just simply allowing him to be himself and kind of win in his way really made the offense operate. And it didn't look glamorous all the time. That you didn't have 1,000-yard receivers or 1,000-yard rushers or, anything like that, but they were able to move the football effectively and consistently enough where they got into the college football playoff and they were just, one play away from, potentially playing in the national championship. So I do love how he brought up that play to Kendrick Law because that was very Bryce Young-esque to me.
Right.
I'm in the pocket, get the defense kind of thinking one thing, you just flip it out to Kendrick Law and you allow your guy to, break a tackle and score a touchdown. It's like the more of that you get, the willingness that you saw from him in the first game to take off and run with the football when it was there. That's something we really didn't see at the beginning of last season. We did see it a lot more at the end of last year. The offense was a lot more effective through that. So yeah, I absolutely love that comment from Kalen DeBoer. And I think it does highlight kind of how he operates as a coach, which is build around your guys and their strengths and put them in a situation. Kalen DeBoer is willing to make himself a little bit uncomfortable to make his quarterback and the other playmakers in his offense more comfortable. And I think that's a huge gift as far as, for the offense. You just can't say enough good things.
Great to see you guys in the comment section. Keep them coming. But Roll Damn Tide right back at you, Justin. Good to see you, Brock and Chris and everyone that's hanging out with us today and, watching the show. But like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. That's just a way to get that algorithm going and to say Roll Tide. And I want to remind you that covercrimson.com, where Clint breaks down every single snap of every single game, is available to you guys for $1. And if you're a member, you get to watch the show, the All-American Report with Mike Johnson. Man, he did a great job yesterday of talking about the offensive line. We're going to hear from Coach Cap in just a second and kind of get into that as well. But it's all part of the subscription that you get, right? So $1 right now, you can watch it. You buy the annual subscription, you get a Cover Crimson t-shirt, which is really sweet. And you're going to love that too. So, and Reed, our guy that handles all the stuff, he says, you get it done and he's going to get that out to you lickety split. So keep that in mind. Covercrimson.com. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use the promo code next round to double your initial deposit. That's right. Mybookie.ag will double your initial deposit when you use the promo code next round. Kick off the season with mybookie.ag and double your initial deposit using the promo code next round. Next round was just here, by the way. It's like I got here late for the party. I didn't know we were doing it this weekend, Clint. Like I thought all the information I had was Tuesday, and then I heard Dunaway was here, and Ryan Brown, and Lance Taylor, and the whole crew. So I'm here by myself.
Hey, I guess I could still make it down there pretty quickly. Give me like 5-6 hours, and
baby.
Hey, we can take that place over, brother.
Let's do it. Let's listen to Coach Cap. This was EG was there today. She may jump on with us, by the way, but she had a chance to get with some of the coaches, and I love this guy. And no wonder Alabama's recruiting at the highest level they ever have with the offensive line, and it's because everybody wants to play for this guy.
But, we always say we're ready for sudden change, and that's why we have guys play multiple spots and ready to go. So, it was unfortunate to have that happen in pregame. I was trying to think in my whole career if I've ever had that happen. I don't think I have. But the good thing was Elijah was ready to go, and he stepped in there, the first series we gave up the sack. He started out pretty good, kind of lost him late, but then he started getting confidence as the game went along, and I thought he did a good job.
All right, there he is. He's talking about, obviously, Caden Proctor, the shoulder injury before the game even started. He said in his entire career, he's never seen anything like that before. None of us can figure out when that happened last. But, we kind of got into this too, Clint. Pritchard has been working right tackle, fighting for that. Before, though, when we didn't know that Proctor was coming back, looked like he was going to be that the left tackle anyway, or left guard.
Yeah, I thought the answer was interesting. I thought it was revealing. I mean, obviously, you brought up the fact that Elijah Pritchett, when he was thinking he was going to have to split reps at right tackle, and he ends up getting to take all the reps at left tackle. So from his perspective, he was willing to, he was ready to. I'm sure he never wants his teammate to get hurt and have to miss a game, but he was ready to take hold of that opportunity. I do think he got better as the game went on. I did post his sack on Twitter yesterday. You can go check that out at Clint R. Lamb. And it's just when you're comparing it to Wilkin Formby on the other side, just, I feel like there was a little bit too much lean with Elijah Pritchett's technique. I felt like it's, you watch Wilkin Formby and he's the one initiating contact, getting extension, keeping the defensive lineman at arm's length. It felt like Elijah Pritchett was allowing the defensive lineman to get into his body a little bit, and then he dipped his head. And when he dipped his head, it was over. And it was just, the guy wasn't even, it's not even like it's a real speed rusher. The guy was 6'3", 300 pounds, more of an interior defensive lineman, but just, it wasn't proper technique. I'm sure there was some rust there. He did get better and correct some of those issues in later reps. So, he's capable of doing it. But, and I also thought it was interesting with Cap. He was asked about Tyler Booker and just, if it was possible that he might kick out the tackle if something were to happen to, one of the starters right now. And he mentioned that Booker can play all 5 positions. He said over the summer he got center reps, and back in the spring he got tackle reps. Mm-hmm. And so, I think he's a little heavy, to be playing tackle, especially in this system. But at the same time, if that allowed you to keep your best 5 offensive linemen on the field by, you kick him out maybe to left tackle, it is possible that Booker could go to right tackle, Formby could go to left tackle, and then you could bring in, Gino Vandermark maybe at left guard, but then that would just be a lot of different moving parts and guys playing in uncomfortable new situations. So I think probably you might see Booker kick out to left tackle if that were to happen. Hopefully it doesn't. You don't want to get to that point, but that's just something to keep an eye on because we don't know exactly when Proctor will be back, and you don't know exactly what the depth looks like as far as, OT4. It's been Miles McVay. Mm-hmm. But he played right tackle in Saturday's game with Bertrand playing left, and I don't think Miles McVay played all that great. Not trying to criticize, but just didn't think it was his best performance. So I wouldn't be shocked if something were to happen and they needed more depth, if maybe they, flirted with the idea of Booker going to left tackle or one of the 2 tackle spots, maybe, Ola Salinen, maybe Casey Poe potentially, but it would be interesting for sure.
Yeah, interesting is a great word when it comes to, one of your star players getting hurt in warmups. And again, we kind of hit on it yesterday, and we'll get a hit on it again today, is that Proctor's day to day, it sounds like it's a soft tissue injury, basically like maybe some kind of bruise or something like that, where he'll heal up over the course of time. So Alabama is going to be working, keeping an eye on these positions. I feel like Coach Cap's one of these guys that's going to put the best players in, no matter who it is, to help those guys win. So that's exciting. Comment section. Always love to hear from you guys. Sam's son, come on, man. Give Milroe a break. I know that at the beginning of last year, it did feel like he was deer in the headlights. Now it's when everything closes up, the guy runs 50 yards and then runs out of bounds, so he's smart. Like, he's not only picking up all that run. I thought he was way more decisive with the run in that first game than he was against Michigan last year. It just felt like that's what the whole point of this start to the show was, is that Kalen DeBoer isn't like Tommy Rees going, hey, don't get hurt. He's like, hey, go out there and play ball and just let it rip. That's what you have to do, man. You can call up all the plays. What did Mike Tyson say? You can have all the best game plan in the world and until you get hit in the mouth, It's like, yep. Look, man, you got to go out there and play. And so I'm not, love the comment, but totally disagree, man. I don't think I saw a play where he was just, they were caving in on him, and the dude ran like 36 yards in the blink of an eye.
I mean, I'll say this. on the sack, it was poor technique by Elijah Pritchett that allowed the pressure. I do feel like Jalen could have stepped up in the pocket. I also feel like he needed to have an internal clock on that particular play. He held onto the ball a little bit too long, and that was a problem that we saw from him last year. Here's the thing, though. First game of the season, first series of the season, been a while since everything's been going just straight up live. You got guys coming after you. They can bring you to the ground, whole 9 yards. And so there's probably a little bit of rust there. I don't think people fully understand, even these guys who have played a ton of ball, there's still, when you get out there in the live game situation and everything is fully live, it's not a scrimmage. It's not, for a quarterback, because quarterbacks aren't allowed to get hit in scrimmages. It might take a little bit of time, but what you saw after that was exactly what you're talking about. He was more decisive. He took off. You didn't see him holding onto the football a ton after that, or for way too long after that. So just give the man a chance. I thought he played really well. Do I think he was perfect? No. Do I think Ty Simpson was perfect? No. But these are two guys that I think you can win with, either one of them. And Milroe has earned his right to sit atop the depth chart and lead this team. He's dynamic. And I think with Kalen DeBoer, they're going to be, scheming things up in a way where he can strain the defense with his arm, vertically, with his legs, with a run game, with an offensive line, with weapons in the passing game. You're seeing that short to intermediate stuff, get better. And I mean, the guy on the move, doing that Bryce Young type of stuff where he's navigating, keeping his eyes downfield, and then finding some guys open. I mean, that's another element that you didn't see a ton from him last year. Typically when he was scrambling, he was taking off. You saw a little bit of improvement in that area on Saturday. So a lot to like about his performance.
I got to laugh at our Auburn friend, Chris. Didn't see any rust on Auburn. They were playing
Alabama A&M.
Yeah, it better not be any rust. Hey, and look, man, I got to thank Steve Powers here at the Floribama. I come right in. I get key lime shrimp. Making sure that I've got something to drink, and then some oysters. Do you like oysters? Char grilled oysters, raw oysters. You got the hot sauces and all that stuff. You like that, Clint?
I do, actually. I wouldn't say it's ever something I seek out, but my dad has always been a huge oysters guy. And so when we would go to the beach as a family, he was getting those oysters. He was doing the cracker. He was doing the hot sauce, the whole 9 yards. And finally, he convinced me to try it, and it was pretty darn good.
Guys, here's the bottom line. And great comment, Tony Jr. We don't have Bryce Young. He's not the quarterback. And I know Bryce Young was about as close to perfect as you could have in that position. I agree with that. But you're not always there's only one Bryce Young. I mean, they just don't pop up every year. Jalen Milroe is the guy right now. I mean, and his skill set is different. He's more athletic. He's less fragile than Bryce Young. He doesn't throw the ball as accurately as Bryce Young, doesn't see the field like Bryce Young. But who does, man? He can run. He's a dual threat guy. He won an SEC championship last year. Georgia, honestly, I feel like the Georgia game was definitely the height of the season, and I feel like Alabama got a little too confident going into that Michigan game. If they could have stayed as focused as they were as an underdog against Georgia, against Michigan, I think they would have won. But you learn from those experiences. But I'm just telling you guys right now, I went through this last year. Hey, I was open-minded. I said, I think it's Milroe, right? And Roll Tide right back at you, Nicholas. But I was open to the guy from Notre Dame that couldn't throw the ball 7 yards. We put Ty in there, and he just didn't look. It didn't work. This guy's showing up before everybody else. He's the best athlete that Alabama's ever had at quarterback. I mean, he looks like a superhero. He can run, he can throw, and he wins games. So I just think like that for what this team has right now, he's the best that they have. Next year will be a whole nother battle when he's gone and it's somebody else, and we'll see if is it Laudergan. Is it, I know, see, that's pretty funny. Is it
Austin Mack?
Austin Mack, yeah. Is it Ty Simpson? Who knows? Is it somebody else that they don't even have yet on the roster? So, when you watch Peyton Thorne.
I just want to point out, if Tyler Buckner would have chose Auburn over Alabama, he'd be Auburn's starting quarterback right now.
He would.
And he's now playing wide receiver for Notre Dame. So I don't know that I'd be saying too much here.
Is he wide receiver? I thought he was on the lacrosse team.
He is, and then he walked on as a wide receiver.
No,
Yeah.
for real?
Yeah.
Now that
I mean,
guy's
and that's great for him. That's fine. I just am pointing out, man. I think, at one point in time, Auburn was really, really wanting Tyler Buckner, and he
why didn't
chose
we let him
Alabama
have
instead.
him? We should have
Yeah,
let him have him. That was a mistake there. All right, let me bring on my cousin. I'm Mick Gillispie. I'm going to bring in Robert Gillispie and let him talk about the running back room.
It's just they play ball. Same thing I've been doing for the past 3-4 years. The same thing I've been doing everywhere I've been. And you got a talented room. You kind of, let those guys play a little bit and get them flowing because it's a long season. I mean, we're trying to play 16, 17 games. So, it's not about keeping somebody happy. It's about playing the best guy that helps us win.
I love that. Okay, yeah, we're not cousins, but we should be. Cousins in name and also with love for Alabama. I remember when Robert was a running back at Florida, and I'm glad we got him now. He's been a great running back coach. And I love the mentality. They're going to have this mentality where you're constantly bringing people into the running back spot, unless you have Derrick Henry, where one guy can carry all the totes.
It's week 2. That is a very real, very true comment. It is unfortunate because at a certain point, that kind of mentality to an extent has to change. You don't have to give the workload to just one guy, but as far as getting guys involved, I mean, it happened with, Najee Harris, down the stretch when he was a freshman. It happened in the Rose Bowl with Justice Haynes. You got to worry about the transfer portal. And so I understand it's not about keeping guys happy, not in week 2 for sure, because you got time to make up for that and get guys involved later. But it is something that you have to keep in mind. But it doesn't matter because Alabama's running back room is very selfless. I mean, Justice Haynes wants the best for Jam Miller and vice versa, and really the entire room. And really, we should have seen that coming with Justice Haynes at the very least and Richard Young, because they were willing to come in the same class and they wanted to kind of be in a tandem together. So, expecting either one of them to be willing to do that when they could have chose anywhere and signed anywhere. I mean, we should have known that they were going to be the type of guys who were willing to share the workload, share the glory and the success and all that stuff. And it creates a really good situation. I mean, I've always said the rideouts, the biggest thing that worked for those guys was the fact that they were all very selfless. You didn't have any divas. You didn't have any guys who were demanding the football. You had guys who were wanting to see everyone succeed. They were having fun with it, playing paper, rock, scissors to see who was going to get to run which route. They were blocking for each other. So, I mean, and that just created a lot of success during those years. And you look at this running back room and it could end up being the exact same thing. Just guys pulling for each other. Seems like Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe at quarterback are pulling for each other. And it's just, I love the chemistry on this team because I think through Nick Saban's retirement, kind of, the uncertainty and all that, I think it just really brought everybody closer together. And it feels like it's hard to have a very tight knit roster or a locker room in an NIL era because a lot of times money plays a big part. But fortunately for Alabama, it does feel like through everything that happened, brought these guys closer. And I think that could give them a leg up as far as, playing some of these teams who are equally as talented.
No doubt about it, man. I agree with all that. Let's listen to one more clip from him, and then we'll try to get Emily Grace to join us.
Obviously, those guys, played about 15 to 20 snaps apiece, in that game. All of them did. We won't always have games like that. So whoever gets in, like I said, it doesn't matter who starts, who goes out there first. I mean, whoever gets to be hot and, making the plays, I mean, that's the guy that'll play more. And I think they know that. And it's all about winning. And that's why you have all those numbers on the wall. It's about, depth and having the next guy ready to play. So, I try to, see whoever's in the flow and those guys will continue to play.
Think about that. He says those numbers on the wall, right? Think about the numbers on the wall. Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram. I mean, you got to put those two guys at the top. But, I mean, there's been running backs at Alabama since they've been playing football.
Yeah. I mean,
running backs. I mean, big-time guys.
Tons. Really, and you got to think, it was talking about Ron Williams and him not even being born when Nick Saban had his first press conference at Alabama.
No,
that's
don't
mind-blowing.
No, come on, man.
Yeah, no, is that not mind-blowing? Someone posted that and said Ron Williams. Yeah,
that kind of stuff ruins my day.
But I mean, a lot of these guys when the train started getting rolling,
Inside Sports Network at the time,
they were when the train started getting rolling, these guys were 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, they were all really, really young.
Man.
And so they've kind of grown up with they've never known Alabama not to have elite running back play. I mean, look at,
right.
you get Jameer Gibbs. I understand he was a different player, but, Najee Harris, Brian Robinson Jr.
Trent Richardson was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, TJ Yeldon, Derrick Henry, Eddie
there was
Lacy.
a guy named Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, I mean, so the entire time that these guys have been alive. Yeah, the entire time these guys have been alive, it has been nothing but quality running back play. And, these guys wanted to be a part of that, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I think they're both going to be phenomenal. They got that home run hitting ability, but I think, as the offensive line gels, maybe you get Caden Proctor back and all that. I mean, I think from a consistency standpoint, to kind of grind it out 5-6 yards at a time, I think you'll start seeing that quite a bit too. And you're going to continue to get those explosive plays downfield, as far as long game runs. And I think that's only going to make this run game that much more dynamic.
Glenn Coffey, Shad Williams.
Glenn Coffey. That's another one that we don't talk about enough. And we got to give Terry Grant his due as well.
Terry Grant,
he was the first,
man.
Right?
Look, getting right around the corner.
That's right. The Terry Grant days.
Oh man, I go way back, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Please give us a thumbs up. That's a way of saying Roll Tide. Comment section. Hey, get after it. I say this, like, let's be respectful, but let's have a good time too. Getting after it as we get you ready for Alabama and South Florida, and just kind of giving you a taste of what Emily Grace got today from the different press conferences that they do. Really just media availability, but the offense scored 63 points, and I don't think that they even played their best yet, Clint.
No, I really don't think that they did. They were finding their groove. Like I said, I mean, Elijah Pritchett, got beat early. Jalen Milroe held onto the football a little bit too long on that sack as well. It really just, and when Ty Simpson came in, it was like he wasn't hitting on all cylinders. That first drive was pretty good, but from a, consistency standpoint, maintaining that, there was some up and down play, but it's the first game of the season. And so you would expect that with just so many new faces really on both sides of the football. And so you would expect the product to continue to get better. Now, they're not going to be playing Western Kentucky every week, but, as they continue to find their footing, you would expect the product to continue to be really effective.
All right, let me put me back up here, Clint. Just hanging around at the Old River Grill. I tried to find the guys from the next round, but they apparently are back in Birmingham. So they were here this weekend, but I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. And now let's bring on Emily Grace, who's in Tuscaloosa. At least, I guess for right now you are. And is that your car? You got like a sunroof.
Yeah, I do. It's my favorite feature. I love the sun, and this stays open.
Well, what was it? Give us a breakdown of, we saw the videos. We talked about Coach Cap. We talked about Coach Gillispie. And we even had a little bit of Coach DeBoer talking about Jalen Milroe from a couple of days ago at the beginning of the show. But your thoughts on what you saw and heard today around the facility?
Yeah, for sure. I think what stuck out to me was Coach Cap saying that in his career, he's never had something like that happen with Caden Proctor getting hurt. Mm-hmm. And it speaks to the depth that Alabama has in that position. He said that early on, he was pretty solid, lost him later in the game. But then as he got some confidence back, and this is Pritchett, who I'm referring to at left tackle, he came back into things. And so I thought that was just a really interesting description from his perspective, how things went, because it is kind of crazy to think that for Kalen DeBoer's first game, there were so many situations that happened that were unforeseen. And this was just kind of a drop in the bucket of, the helmet communication, or the headsets, the helmets coming off, and then you have your, player going out unexpectedly. Now, I'm sure you guys have talked about it. Caden Proctor will be week to week. And I thought it was interesting on the coaches teleconference that Coach DeBoer said if it was up to him, Caden would have played. So wow, that is a good sign because it must mean that it's not too serious, but they're going to continue monitoring him. Coach Cap also brought up Tyler Booker and how he's basically a jack of all trades. He's played basically everywhere. He's even taken snaps at center this summer. So if push comes to shove, Tyler Booker can do it all, but I feel like we kind of knew that already.
Yeah, what kind of was the I heard that you asked Coach Cap what the focal point was this week. Where's their focus going to be, with South Florida? What was his answer?
He talked and I love this answer. He said that for the offensive line, it doesn't really change. It's effort, communication, and focus. And he touched on the fact that guys don't line up in a typical basic defense anymore. So when they're studying Western Kentucky, they're having to study, he said, every blitz from last season. And now for USF, you're having to study all of last season, additionally what they did last week. And he said it was challenging for the guys to process all that information. And he went on to say those 3 fundamentals, if they can execute on that, there will be success in that role. So I thought that was a pretty cool answer, because it does speak to the fact that defenses are ever evolving. We're seeing that from Coach Saban's to the swarm defense, and how from an offensive line perspective, they're having to adjust to that each week. Because as he said, there's no longer a basic defense that they're expecting.
It's pretty cool to hear yesterday from Jam and then today from Coach Gillispie in that running back room. And sounds like that they've really embraced the idea of rotating guys. You know, to me, I'm talking with Mike Johnson yesterday on the All-American Report, which, by the way, Cover Crimson, you can, if you have a membership, you can watch Mike break it down. But him and I kind of agree that we feel like Justice has the best skill set that Alabama running backs had in a while. I mean, like, you watch him and you can see that there's something special about this guy. But at the same time, it's great that these guys are willing to give up reps for each other.
Exactly. And that's a trait that a coach can't teach. That is a fundamental in both of those players, that they're willing to sacrifice personal gain for the team. And I want to say it was Coach Sheridan. This was a couple weeks ago during fall camp, how he would describe that duo. And the first thing that he said was unselfish and determined. I'll find that clip and send it to you guys. But it was really interesting, because weeks ago they were preparing to be in this role. And it actually reminds me, this is kind of a pull, but when UGA had Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, and they were 2 very, very good running backs that were in that splitting carry role. Obviously, those teams didn't go on to win national championships, but it reminds me a lot of how they were working in tandem to ultimately accomplish what was best for the team. And it sounds like that the appreciation for each other between those 2 guys is there. They're very similar too in build and height. So it's been cool to hear the, like I said, different perspectives. Now hearing from, Jam and then Coach Gillispie today.
Awesome. Clint?
Yeah, it's such a cool thing to see. And earlier in the show, I compared it to the rideouts and just how selfless they were. Getting 4 different guys involved, no problem with sharing the workload, sharing the glory, I guess you would say. And it seems like Alabama's running back room is there now. You talked to a bunch of the other assistants too. So what else did you hear from some of these guys that maybe stood out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think. We had Coach Cap today, offensive line. I wasn't able to talk to Coach Roach much. We had Coach Robinson, and who am I missing?
Yeah, I think that was it, right?
I think so. I think the overall consensus is that the preparation is now for USF. And I think that there's a lot of positives to be taken away from last week. But I would say what stuck out the most from all of the coaches is they're very similar in their delivery of they're not settling for anything. And I think that it's coming through and being very transparent that this team is very connected. They're very together. If you're a Braves fan, this is the signal for that, together. And I think that this Alabama team has that. And I've really enjoyed getting to talk to these assistants, because you're getting insight that we haven't had under, the Coach Saban era. So it's definitely something I've started to look forward to each week, getting to chat with them.
Well, EG, thank you for jumping in with us again. When are you going to be back in T-Town? I guess this is probably it for the week, right?
Yep. So I'll be back on Saturday. So the dedication for Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium is in full swing. Clint, we'll talk and see what we want to do with that. But I think it starts at 2:30, Walk of Champions presentation. There's something at halftime. It's going to be a really exciting Saturday. Hoping the rain holds off, please. But it feels like fall in Tuscaloosa. Dare I say, it feels nice.
It does. It does. Well, we'll talk to you on Saturday after the game. Plan on jumping on
For sure.
the post-game show with us right here. We'll be taking your calls on Saturday. Clint will jump on. We'll get with EG, talk about whatever was said in the post game. We'll hear from Coach DeBoer, all of that. So have a safe trip back and roll Tide. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right. See you. All right, Clint. So there we are, man. I mean, another
Great
show kind of closing up here. Again, take advantage of this deal so you can go back and listen to what Mike Johnson's reaction was to Caden Proctor. He thought that it makes sense. I mean, he said, look, I could see a guy getting hurt. You're not going 100%. I mean, you're basically going through the motions, maybe because you're not doing it, you kind of hit it the wrong way. And It's not impossible to have something like that happen, but covercrimson.com, the All-American Report with Mike Johnson. It's great. We got some other exclusive content coming as well, but that's out there. We'll get with him later on this week when we really start to focus on South Florida and take advantage of that. Clint, you've got a bunch of other stuff going on there as well.
Yeah, we're going to be focusing. We've been doing the snap counts to defense on Monday, to the offense yesterday, and I try really. It's not just the snap counts. You share that, but then it's adding context and just what I saw as far as how guys were used, what it maybe means. Like Gino Vandermark, for example, he got 4 snaps, I believe, in that first game, and kind of my point was it. A lot of people might see that and be very concerned because that's less than a lot of your depth guys. But what happened is you had him come in for the one play at the beginning of the game where the helmets came off of Tyler Booker and Parker Brailsford. He played center there. Then he came in because Jaden Roberts, he's still recovering from the offseason surgery, fall camp. He was out for a little while. So I don't know if, he tweaked something or it was more than likely just he's still getting back in the groove of things. So Gino Vandermark came in for a series. I think he played 3 plays out of 4 on that drive. And then you didn't see him again for the rest of the game. And my point, and adding context or potential context to that is I think that Alabama just knows what they've got in him. He is that veteran player. He's played a lot of snaps. He started some games. And so, rather than putting him in with the depth guys and you kind of already know what you're going to get, he's been there, done that, all that stuff before. They took the opportunity to play a lot of the younger guys, the William Sanders, the Casey Pose, the, Joe Ionata, all those guys, you saw them instead. So it's nothing for fans to be panicked about. But if you just simply saw those snap counts, you might really think, okay, did he get banged up? Did he play poorly? What's going on? So that's what I'm trying to do is just add potential context to a lot of these situations. So we got that. And now we're turning our focus to USF. Stacy and I are going to be doing a breakdown that will come out tomorrow morning. And then, I'll be doing the players to watch, from the Alabama side, but I'll also be doing some matchups, getting South Florida involved, talking a lot about their players as well. That will be over at covercrimson.com. So definitely check that out. And, we'll continue to ride this thing out too, Mick. I love doing this with you, man. Every day it's been so much fun. Yeah. And dude, the ride's just getting started.
Hey, look, Steve was ready to hook you up with whatever you needed too. He's right there. He was like, hey, what time's Clint getting here? And I was like, well, unfortunately, it's just me at the Old River Grill here at the Floribama today. But Clint will be here. Are you coming for the Wisconsin Bama tailgate show? Which one were you thinking about coming down for?
No, it was the one at Vanderbilt, I believe. Is it Vanderbilt?
Okay.
Yeah. That's the plan.
Which is the other restaurant, and then we'll be at the main Floribama for the third show. So, and then a lot of times we'll just decide like week of we're coming down. So like yesterday, we're like, hey, it's time. I've missed Steve. I hadn't seen Jen in a while. It was kind of let's come over here and see where where the next round guys set up. We want to know where we're going to be when Jake Coker and I swing over here Friday, a week from Friday to do the show 1 to 3 on Friday when Alabama plays Wisconsin. So, and it's a great spot. I'm telling you, you got to try the key lime shrimp, man. Key lime coconut shrimp are amazing. I was dipping them in the sauce. Oysters. Hey, let me say this. The show's always presented by our friends at mybookie.ag. Use the promo code next round to double your initial deposit. That's right. Double your initial deposit when you use the code next round. Kick off the season with mybookie.ag and double your initial deposit. Key lime shrimp. What do you think? Key lime shrimp. Lightly breaded, tender shrimp and sweet and spicy blue chair bay key lime sauce.
I'm not gonna lie. That's
sound pretty good.
That sounds incredible. Yeah,
this is it right here. All of this right here.
You're making. Are you doing it on purpose? Are you?
Yeah,
trying to make me jealous?
I am trying to make you jealous. This is better than my studio. Look at everybody behind me. Look, everybody wave.
It kind of looks like your green screen background, but it's real.
You see people walking back.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us as always. Get in the comment section, keep them coming. Roll Tide, everybody, and again, we will talk to you again tomorrow, right about 1:00. Roll Tide.